I do play the bass note. A lot of people say don't play bass note if you have a bass player. That's a myth. Just don't walk bass while the bass player is walking a bass. Okay? If the bass player is walking a bass and you start walking a bass line too, that's gonna get out. Okay, that will be like free jazz.
Now, I said I wasn't going to do this, but I simply just can't hold back good education, and I got so much feedback from this. So, what you're about to see is a replay of a workshop, a live workshop that I did on Zoom for my 30-day Jazz Piano Challenge participants. Now, this challenge is still currently going on, depending upon when you're watching this. If you're watching it right now as this podcast is being released, it is still going on. You can go to jazzpianoschool.com/challenge to join. Now, again, I'm going to be doing 4 live workshops. I've already done one. That's the one you're about to watch right now. And I'm going to be doing 3 more as well. You can get on Zoom with me. You can watch the challenges. You can get the assignments. You can submit videos to me. You can get help from me. You can join in all the fun and activities. And again, challenge yourself to learn the things that I'm teaching. jazzpianoschool.com/challenge. Now, this first workshop is going to be all about how to accompany a band, how to accompany a vocalist or an instrumentalist. That's going to be one of the easiest of the 3 goals that I'll be covering. I'll also be covering solo piano and improvisation. In this workshop, this is, again, a live replay of me teaching all my 30-day challenge participants. So you're going to see a lot of broken down information in a very step-by-step, formulaic way, I should say. And again, when you join the challenge, you'll get access to all the practice assignments as well. So, my name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of jazzpianoschool.com. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you join the challenge. And if you're interested in getting on the Black Friday VIP list, which is going to be a huge release this year, go to jazzpianoschool.com/Black Friday 2023. And you can get on that VIP list, and they will get first looks at the new Jazz Piano School that's coming this Black Friday. All right, without further ado, let's dive right in.
Come on in, everybody. Flooding in. Hello, welcome. Come in. See all of you. Give this a couple seconds here, let everyone trickle in. Got a lot of people here, that's awesome. All right. See some faces I know. Why don't you guys pull up your chat while you're waiting? If you guys can just let me know where you're tuning in from, that would be awesome. I'd love to just see where everyone's coming here from. Music's not too loud. St. Paul, cool. Christine, Pennsylvania, awesome. Serbia, oh my goodness. UK, Houston, awesome. San Jose, very close to me. Houston, another Houston. Hey, Summer. UK, awesome. Connecticut, Quebec, awesome. Sylvie. I was just in Quebec to visit my uncle and aunt who live there actually in Canada. Lebanon, East Hampton, Minneapolis, France. Bonjour, comment ça va? Alexander, Panama, London, Alberta, another Canadian, fellow Canadian, that's awesome. Virginia Beach, Chicago, hey Kevin, what's up? Debbie, hey Debbie. All right, Victor, Sacramento, yes indeed. Awesome. Brisbane, awesome. Australia, wow, got people from all over the place here. Cool, very cool. Hey, Francis. Raphael from Victoria. Another Canadian, amazing. Napa, awesome. Kevin, no, I wish. That was Bill Evans. This is Art Tatum. We'll get started here in just a second, guys. I'll probably let 2 more minutes go by just as people keep trickling in here. St. Vincent in the Caribbean. Awesome. awesome. This is super fun. I'm already having fun. We haven't even started yet. All right. Yes, this is the great Tiger Rag. This is Art Tatum playing Tiger Rag off the album Piano Starts Here. Amazing album. Okay, I'm gonna give this one more minute, guys. When my clock hits 3:04, and I will start. Yes, Summer will be able to go back and all y'all will be able to re-watch this later on again. And I'll tell you how you can do that once I get started. Tom Almeida, absolutely. Amsterdam, great. Woo, Amsterdam, always wanted to go, haven't been there just yet. Awesome. Springfield, cool. Ron, hey Ron. All right, well, it is 3:04. People will continue to trickle in here. I'm gonna close out Spotify and get started. And put this here, 1 second. All right, so thank you guys all so much for being here. There's a lot of people here. There's 48 people to be exact. That's super awesome. There was about 200 people that signed up for the 30-day challenge. Can you guys believe that? So thank you all so much for being here. People kind of trickle in and out, but my name is Brendan Lowe. I am the creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. I will be your host for the 30-day challenge, and I will be guiding you, directing you, and teaching you throughout this 30 days. Some of you have probably encountered me through various social media channels, right? YouTube, podcasts, blogs, stuff like that, any of my education. Some people, you may have never had any encounter with me previously before, so this may be your very first time, which I'm super excited to kind of introduce myself and show you some education. So that's really, really fun. I'm going to go over a couple of logistics here just before I get started. Due to the fact that there are so many people in here, I'm going to keep you all muted. I will have some time for questions at the end where we can have you guys come off mute and ask me questions, and I will definitely demonstrate and help you all out with any questions that you may have. Very, very important. When you do have a question, and I'll go over this at the very end, the way that this is going to work is you're going to have to raise your hypothetical hand inside of Zoom, because what this does for me, it puts your picture up in the top left-hand corner and shows me that you have a question, and then I can allow you to unmute yourself so you can ask your question. Now, the way that you do this, depending upon what device you're on, if it's an iPhone, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop, a doohickey, whatever you're on, you're going to go to reactions down at the bottom of the screen, and you're going to click that button, and there's a huge button that says raise hand. Okay? So if you click the reactions box at the bottom of your Zoom tab bar, you'll see a button that says reactions. Click on that, and you can click the button that says raise hand, and that will put you in a line. And the other amazing thing it does is that it puts people in line for when they raise their hand and who didn't, whatnot. So anyway, you can also have fun with the reactions in general as well if you like. I'll go over that again another time when we go to questions. So this is going to be the first of 4 workshops, and you are all going to receive a replay after this is over. Because what's going to happen is that this video is going to upload into the cloud. I'm going to take that link and put it into a document, which you will all receive. Now, this document will have 3 different types of assignments on it. This document will have 3 assignments on it. An assignment for beginners, an assignment for intermediate players, and an assignment for advanced players. Okay? I'm going to go through these assignments. I'm going to explain them, walk you through them. And obviously, if there's any questions at the end of this, you all can ask me. It's going to be very straightforward. Now, this is a challenge. right? So this isn't necessarily about me. If you want more education, if you want to learn more stuff, then I know a great website for that. It's jazzpianoschool.com. Okay. There's over 300 podcasts, lesson videos, blog posts, lots of free education, membership, live programs. You can get all the information you need. But the reason that you're here, I'm assuming, through my email correspondence, because you want something else. You want to challenge yourself. The word challenge means what, right? Something of difficulty, something that you're trying to pursue and you're kind of working at. So that's exactly what this is for. It's to help you all instill accountability into your lives, challenge you to work at things you may not be used to working at. It's to help inspire you, motivate you in different ways, and hopefully unlock a lot of secrets and roadblocks that have kind of been holding you back in your jazz piano performance. It doesn't even have to be in your performance. Maybe mentally, like you just have no roadmap. You have no understanding of what you're actually supposed to play or how you're actually supposed to go about playing certain voicings, certain improv lines, solo piano. And so this is going to challenge you to just simply understand it and start to try and work at it. Okay. So again, this is a challenge. There's the assignments, the things you're about to learn. They may be things that you have never done before. That's great. But they also may be things you've done a million times, but you just haven't gone deep enough, right? You just haven't spent enough time with them. And if I can tell you one feedback from all the live participants that I've had in my programs recently, what they've said was, usually everything Brendan has taught me is something that I've learned on the website, but I just haven't worked at it enough. And that's the thing that really unlocked a whole world of opportunities, my playing, and allowed me to advance faster than I ever have before. So I promise you, again, these might be simple for some people. I'm going to show you a lot of different variations, but if you trust me, if you trust the process, it might be tedious, it might not be fun at times, it will serve you and help you to reach your goal. Okay. I want to start with one story before I turn over to the piano. And that story was, I was on tour with my dad. I was not playing, I was a spectator. So my dad was the concertmaster of the Boston Symphony Orchestra, and he was on tour in China with the orchestra, and I was touring around with him. And they had a guest pianist playing Rachmaninoff piano concerto. And so this young man, I think he was about 26, 27. His name was Behzad Aburam. Behzad Aburam. You can look him up on Spotify. He's all over the place. Very, very talented young individual. But I'd be backstage. I'd go to listen to the concerts. And I heard him play about 30 concerts, I think, on tour. And phenomenal. But every single time I walked past his dressing room, okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question. What do you think I heard him practicing in his dressing room? Go ahead and type in the chat. If you guys have any guesses about what do you think that I heard every single time without fail? Okay, Karina says scales. Josh said scales. Mary says scales. Anyone else? Any other guesses? Scales, Susanna. Scales. All right, well, I think you got the point of the story. Yes, he was just practicing scales the entire time. And I'm not talking about fast, flashy scales. He was practicing scales at, if I had to guess, probably 65 BPM. Just like this. I could not believe this. Like, I was like out of my mind. Like every night I would go back and I'd listen. I'd be like, you must be practicing something from the tune you're about to play tonight, right? Nope. Scales every single night at 65 to 70 BPM. Never heard him go faster. So the point of the story is, I think no matter how great you get, the fundamentals and the foundation to learning any craft, especially jazz piano, classical music, anything in life, always hold true. They're tried, they're tested, and they're true. And if you're not able to do those small, simple things, you're really not going to make that much progress or get to where you want to be with that particular craft. And I think that's why fundamentals And I hope I'm not scaring you. I'm not going to teach you guys all scales today and have you playing scales at 65 BPM. Okay, don't worry. But I think there is something to be said for that story, really diving deep into small, simple concepts and taking them for years and years and years. I mean, this guy was an absolute pro, and he will probably still practicing scales as do all the classical pianists well until, you know, the day they pass, right? On the face of this earth, they will always practice that. So I'm going to get into today's workshop right now. And today's workshop is going to be about the goal of how to play in a band or accompany a singer, an instrumentalist, or even yourself in solo piano. Because make no doubt about it, you have to accompany yourself while playing solo piano. Okay, you have to accompany yourself. Now, there's 3 goals I'm going to be going over in the 3 workshops. The first, like I said, is how to play in a band, how to accompany a vocalist and instrumentalist, or yourself for solo piano desires. The second workshop will be on solo piano, and the third will be all on improvisation. Now, any 3 desires that you have to play piano can be distilled into any 3 of those categories. Okay? Whether it's like you want to learn McCoy licks, okay, great. That's the improvisation category. You want to learn how to play like Herbie, great. Maybe you want some of his voicings, that will fall under the comping category. But we don't learn jazz piano so that we can just play licks and voicings. We learn jazz piano so that we can accomplish a goal, whether that's to sit down and play for ourselves, play in a band, or play or improvise, you know, as we would. I'm going to demonstrate something right now. And let me pull up iReal Pro. I had it closed. Anytime I go to comp, and a lot of students say they have a goal of comping or just playing voicings, or they want to play voicings better, they want to learn better voicings. I'm going to be using one set of voicings. I'm going to go through a number of different tunes here. You're not going to be able to see all of the chords because the screen isn't big enough, unfortunately. But this is rhythm changes. If anyone doesn't know what rhythm changes is, it's a set structure of changes that you always play when you say rhythm changes, but there's different melodies over top. So can you guys all hear my piano pretty well? Just give me a thumbs up on the screen. Great. I'm going to comp through this. I'll continue to comp through rhythm changes. And right now, you don't need to do anything. Just sit back and listen. Bridge now. Okay. Now, every single voicing that I used in my right hand, believe it or not, was a rootless voicing. It was a rootless voicing. Every single one. I wasn't changing any of the voicings. I wasn't adding any sort of, well, I did on one chord. I did add an altered chord on one chord. I went to an altered chord. But besides that one chord, every single chord was a rootless voicing. Now, if you can go ahead and put in the chat, I want to see, get a sense of how many people know their rootless voicings. And I'm going to give you the definition of know after that, okay? So if you think you know your rootless voicings, go ahead and put yes in the chat. If you don't, go ahead and put no in the chat. Okay, no, yes, no, yes, no, 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 no. No, okay, yes, no, no. Yep, okay, so. Kevin, you're so funny, man. Okay, a bit unsure. Yeah. So I think by majority, if my eyes are scanning the chat rapidly enough, it looks like we're about 80-20, maybe 85-15, 90-10 maybe. So most of you don't know them. Some of you say you do. Now, for the people that say they do know them, I'm going to ask those people another question. So for everyone who just said yes, they put yes in the chat. I'm going to ask you another question. Can you open up to any real book chart and comp through the chart using your right hand rootless voicings and left hand bass notes together like I just demonstrated in rhythm changes? If you think you can, go ahead and put yes. If you think you can't, go ahead and put no. So any chart at random, just a random chart. Scott says, nope. Nope. Yes, but slowly. Jeremy Tay. Okay. Susanna did say yes. That's great, Susanna. Susanna plays in lots of bands. She's been playing for a long time, though, Victor. Yes, great. Great. Slowly. Okay, probably, but I'd be thinking about it too much. Yep. No. Okay, great. Great. So let me test myself, okay? So now I'm at April in Paris. So what I'm doing for you, I'm going to teach you your rootless voicings, obviously, in a second, but this is literally your benchmark for knowing your rootless voicings. Before you get into more advanced voicings, anyone can accomplish the act of playing in a band or accompanying a vocalist by simply learning their rootless voicings and learning them so well that, again, they're able to achieve this benchmark test, which is opening up to any real book tune, comping through the tune, and having it sound, like some of you guys were saying slowly, right? This needs to be so like the back of your hand that it sounds like music, right? So obviously, if I try to comp through this tune and I don't know my rootless voicing, I might be like the tempo's going by and I'm like, oh shoot, C7, wait, no, that's not it. Wait, no. And by that point, you're at the bridge, right? So we have to know these so well that you can do this. Not too many chords in this one. Let me go down the chart a little bit so I can give you some more variation. Here we go. That's a good 8 measures. So now we got E flat 7, D7. So E flat 7, 3, 4, D7, 3, 4, 2, 3. Sped that one up. That's not. Okay. So just straight through that. Okay. Granted, I did play that flat 9 by accident, but any alterations to your rootless voicings are going to be more advanced. They're going to be more advanced than the rootless voicings. Now, your rootless voicings are the bottom end beginner assignment for anyone that does not know them. And you're going to see that on your assignment that's going to be sent out after this workshop is over. So for anyone that does not know their rootless voicings, that's going to be your assignment, is to learn them. Okay? I'm going to go more into that later, but what your rootless voicings can do, we can play a blues. Don't pay attention to my walking bass line. That's not part of your rootless voicings. That's a different skill set, right? My right hand's playing all rootless voicings. Right? It's a fantastic, fantastic skill set to have. And I'd say if there's any voicing that you need to have in your jazz repertoire to make 90% of the progress that you're trying to achieve, it's just rootless voicings. But the fact of the matter is, students, and like you all saw, just don't learn them well enough or at all because we're so tempted by shiny pearls in jazz on YouTube. Unfortunately, it happens to me too. Learn this amazing lick that's gonna, do blah, 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 right? So we're like, ooh, let's try and learn that, right? But you have to stay with one thing, right? Yes, and they're very hard, Kevin. Thank you. I don't want to beat around the bush here. Learning your rootless voicings is not an easy thing to do. And a lot of you are gonna go home, you're gonna do the drill. By the time you get to like the next key, like the key of F, you're gonna be like, oh my God. Like, do I really have to learn these? Well, I'm not forcing you to do anything, okay? So you don't have to learn them, but please trust me. I've been doing this for 25 plus years. I played in various formats of gigs at SF Jazz and all around. Like, I kind of know what I'm talking about, okay? So rootless voicings, right? It's not going to be fun to learn. They're very hard, but I promise you, if you just apply yourself to learning one thing at a time. Instead of bouncing around, trying to play tunes, trying to do that, if you just spend your time learning Rootless Voicings, you can do anything you want. If I change my sound on my keyboard, I can play funk, I can play gospel. This is all Rootless Voicings that I'm using in my right hand, right? I can play bossas. Anything you want, it doesn't matter. Now, clearly there's different changes in rhythm that I'm applying to the Rootless Voicings, but when you know them like the back of your hand, you can comp for anything you want. You can comp for instrumentalists. If I were to play a ballad, here's Body and Soul. I'm gonna put a flat 9 in here, which is an advancement in my Rootless Voicing, just to make the harmony sound correct though. Anyone know Body and Soul? You can sing over top of me right now if you're any vocalist in here, and it'll sound beautiful, right? I'm just playing Rootless Voicings in my right hand. Here's a minor 7 flat 5 Rootless Voicing. That's not on the assignment because that's a little more difficult. That's it. And all I did was bass notes in my left hand, Rootless Voicings in my right hand. Okay. So I'm going to teach them to you for the beginners right now. What I'm going to do is teach you the Rootless Voicings. Then for all the advanced players, I'm going to go into more advancements for what you can do to start creating your flat 9s, start getting your sharp 11s, start getting your altered chords out of your Rootless Voicings, go into some 2-hand voicings that you can start to use from your Rootless Voicings, go into drop 2s. Everything I'm doing here, even high-end blues stuff, now my Rootless Voicings are in my left hand, but all I'm doing in my right hand is octaves on F. Little spice there. Still Rootless Voicings in my left hand. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. A minor 7, D7, G minor 7. All Rootless Voicings. All Rootless Voicings, right? There's so many different ways. Okay, I think I'm being a dead horse at this point. You get it. If you don't get the importance of Rootless Voicings at this point, then, well, you know, that's fine. So, Rootless Voicings, here we go, okay? For everyone that does not know them, and even if you do them, you might learn something. Here's a D minor 7 chord. I'm going to go through a 2-5-1 right now. I'm going to be in the key of C. Okay, so this is a 2 minor 7 chord in the key of C. Right? So my Rootless Voicing is going to be these numbers, and the numbers are on the sheet that I'm going to send to you so that you remember them, and also you can come back and watch the replay, obviously. My Rootless Voicing over a minor 7 is going to be 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay, so I'm playing the 3rd of the chord right here, this F natural, the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th. So we're actually getting a color tone. We're getting an extension on top of our chord, right? So here's my Rootless Voicing. It's called a Rootless Voicing because there's no root in it. I'm not playing a D in my chord, right? It's rootless. So there's our first rootless chord. It's all thirds, very easy to remember, 3, 5, 7, 9. Now from here, we go to a G7 chord and then a 1 major 7 chord. So we're doing a 2-5-1. Okay, so D minor 7, G7, C major 7. Okay, so I'm going to go from my 3, 5, 7, 9. All I'm going to do now is take my 3rd finger in my right hand. I'm going to move it down by a half step. Okay, so I'm going to go move it to the note B. I've now created my dominant Rootless Voicing. Right? All I did was move 1 finger by a half step. D minor 7, G7. Now from here, gets a little bit trickier, but that's okay. I'm going to hold the note I just moved, B natural. Oh, by the way, these numbers of our chord, how they reflect the chord here, we have 7 on the bottom, right? Here's our 7, 9, which is a whole step away from the root, up from the root, 3, and 13. Right? And the 13 is also known as the 6. It's just the 6. You can think about it in different ways, right? 7, 9, 3, 13. Now the numbers are important because this is going to be the easiest way to remember the notes of the chord. And finally, we have, again, 3, 5, 7, 9 of our C major 7, the 3rd, the 5th, 7, 9. Here's how it sounds all together. If you're all following with me, go ahead and just type yes in the chat. Okay? If you're with me, just type yes, yes. Cool. Great. Because I'm going to kind of move through these rather fast. Right, because I do want to get into more advancements for other people as well. I just want to make sure everyone understands. Cool, great. You can always come back and watch these again. Now, like I said, the numbers are very, very important because this is how we're going to locate the chords in other keys, right? We're doing it in the key of C, so it's quite easy. It's all white notes, right? When we move to another key, let's go to the key of F. We now have 1 flat in our key, so this 1 flat is going to show up in our chords. So if we play the 2 chord, 2 minor 7 in the key of F, that's going to be a G minor 7 chord. The way we know that is because it's a whole step up from our root of the key that we're in. So we're in the key of F, a whole step up from F is G, that makes it the 2, the root is the 1, 2 minor 7. I'm going to play the same numbers I did in the key of C now, but I'm going to take the notes from this chord now. 3, 5, 7, and I'm going to add the 9. 3, 5, 7, and I'm going to throw my 9 on top. The 9 is always a whole step above the root. Here's my root of the chord, the G minor 7. Here's my root. I'm going to play a whole step above the root. Boom. I have my first minor 7 in the key of F. Now again, a really easy trick for beginners to get to your dominant chord is just take your 3rd finger and do what? Move it down by a half step. Yep, I have 6 people up here, and I saw Gloria do this, and she was right. So yes, just move your finger down by a half step, and you get the next chord. Now, does that mean you know what the notes are? No, which is kind of scary, because if you try to go play a different chord outside of a 2-5-1, you're not going to know what it is because it's like a movement trick, right? So you kind of got to pay attention to certain tricks in jazz that you can play them in sequence, but not out of sequence, okay? That's where intermediate steps going to come into play. But from here, 7, 9, 3, 13 of our dominant chord, right? Now we're going to hold that note. We're going to hold the 3rd of the chord, and we're going to move everything else again to find. This is probably the hardest part, but I'm going to teach you a really easy trick in just a second. 3, 5, 7, 9 again of our 1 major 7 chord. Okay, Mary, I see your question. I'll answer that in just a second, okay? So check this out. I'm going to make this super easy for y'all. If I take out the root of this chord, what chord does it turn into? A B flat major 7, right? So really, all I'm doing, if you want to think about this in a very simple way, kind of like circumnavigate all the numbers and math, I'm really just playing a B flat major 7 in root position up here with a G in the bass, right? So if you find the 3rd of the chord and then just build a major 7 chord off of that, boom, you'll get your minor 7 rootless voicing very fast. That can kind of be tricky down the long run, but it's okay for now. Move your 3rd finger down by a half step. This doesn't really take on any chord or any shape. It's just kind of a random bunch of notes, but I like to anchor the 2 notes in the middle by saying, oh, I have a whole step in the middle between the 9 and the 3rd. I have the 7 on the bottom, and then I put my 6 on top, which is a whole step above the 5th, or a half step below what my thumb is playing. So you can kind of anchor the notes to teach yourself faster ways of getting the notes, right? Now I can use the same trick here. If I take my F away, what chord am I playing here? A minor 7. I'm now playing a minor 7 in root position for the major, and for the minor, I'm playing a major 7. I'll say that again. For my minor 7 to create a rootless voicing, I'm playing a major 7 in root position, right here, 3, 5, 7, 9. For my major 7 to play a rootless voicing, I'm going to play a minor 7 in root position. Okay, so it's inverse, right? All right, now Mary says, is the right hand always 3, 5, 7, 9 with the root in the left hand? Great question, Mary. This is a comping technique that's used down in the low end. For beginners, I would recommend you first learn. Now, the voicing strategy for the low end of the piano that I use for comping behind vocalists, instrumentalists, when I play in my bands and stuff like that, trio, gig, whatever, I do play the bass note. A lot of people say don't play bass note if you have a bass player. That's a myth. Just don't walk bass while the bass player is walking a bass. Okay? If the bass player is walking a bass and you start walking a bass line too, that's gonna get out. Okay, that'll be like free jazz. But it's certainly okay to play the roots with your rootless voicings. It solidifies the root. It upholds the lower end of the piano. It's a great strategy. The bass players won't yell at you, I promise, okay? So, Mary, to answer your question, this is the strategy for down here from C4 and down. I would say like some of my voicings down here, like I have a couple notes going above the middle of the piano, completely fine. As I move up about from G to G here, my voicing strategy is going to change, and this is going to be for the advanced players in here. For the advanced players, I think, based on what I saw, Susanna, this will be for you and anyone else that wants to tackle this, but I really want to make sure you guys are tackling the appropriate information. I really don't want you trying to do above your skill set, but in the middle, the low, I call this the low to mid area of the piano, I'm going to have rootless voicings in my right hand, and now I've added one note to my left hand. I've added either the 7 or the 3. I've just added one note, just one note. So this, right, rootless voicing here, I'm adding the 7 in my left hand, so now I have 1 and 7, going to 1 and 3, going to 1 and 7. The reason for this is because the mid to low area of the piano can start to uphold those harmonies, whereas if I were to do that down here, it starts to get too muddy. You can't use your 7ths in your left hand down here, but guess what happens when I take my 7th away? It starts to sound decent, right? So that's going to be the area. I might as well go into this now before I get into the intermediate assignment. I'll go back to the beginning, but that's going to be this area of the piano. There's 4 different comping areas that you can use to comp again to achieve your goal. Remember, everything we learn in jazz piano is towards a goal. It's not towards just practicing drills. It's not towards just practicing scales, playing tunes. It's like, what's your goal? What do you want out of music in life, right? This is to accompany yourself in solo piano. It's also to play, again, accompany or play in a band, right? So people have those goals. So here, again, rootless voicing 1 and 7. To make this more advanced, okay, I can create a drop 2 out of this very, very easily. I added one note in my left hand. I'm going to now remove the note I just added, though, in my right hand. So I'm going to remove the second note from the top in my right hand rootless voicing. Here's my rootless voicing, 3, 5, 7, 9 of my G minor 7 chord. I'm playing 1 and 7 in my left hand. So I'm going to take out 3 and 5, boom. And the 7 here that I'm playing in my right hand, I don't really need that because I have it down here. And thus I create the most coveted voicing in jazz piano, the drop 2, which everyone searches for on YouTube, right? The famous Bill Evans drop 2s. So I've just created a drop 2 out of that. And through my whole 2-5-1, I can now keep my 3rd finger up and voice lead through my progression to create all drop 2s out of my 2-handed voicing harmony. I'll do it again without the drop 2. Here's full rootless voicings in my right hand. 1 and 7 going to 1 and 3 now in my left hand. Back to 1 and 7 in my left hand. Full rootless voicings in my right hand. Here's the drop 2. I'm going to keep my 3rd finger up the whole time. Drop 2, drop 2. Drop 2. Now I would say, here's what this sounds like a little bit in more realistic terms. Try not to get too fancy. You'll notice when I go from the 2 to the 5, because my 3rd finger's lifted, I don't even change the notes anymore. My right hand just plays the same exact notes, right? From here to here, my right hand plays the exact same thing because the only thing that moved before was what? My 3rd finger. Now my 3rd finger's lifted. All that's moving is my left hand, and it's creating gorgeous voicings. So like already the work I've put in to learn my rootless voicings is translating into drop 2 voicings, which is the cream of the crop voicings you could ever learn in jazz just by learning your rootless voicings. And I haven't even gotten up to the middle end of the piano. Now, when we get into the middle of the piano, the bass notes are no more. So instead of doing 1 and 7, this is too high for a bass note. Stuff like this. You don't really want your bass notes up this high on the piano anymore. As a good general rule of thumb, your C natural here is a good break point. Okay? A little coffee mug plug. Okay, so the C natural is a good break point for your left hand roots, right? So if I get above this point, let's say I want to play a D minor 7 chord, 1 and 7, 3, 5, 7, 9, rootless voicing here, I'm not going to use my roots anymore. That just means I'm going to remove them. I'm just going to take them out of my voicing. So up here, instead of this now, right, which I was using for my G minor 7, 1, 7, 3, 5, 9, right? I have my third finger lifted for my drop 2 sound. I'm going to remove my roots through the entire thing. Now this is what this sounds like. These are like pure drop 2 voicings. I would say that people are always looking to learn. Students are always looking to learn. If I start to change the extensions on them for more advanced players out there, it sounds like this. That's what everyone's after, okay? Literally every student, right? That's the jazz sound. It doesn't get more advanced than that. I'll let you know right now. It does not get more advanced than that. That's the top of the top echelon voicings. If you can do that and change your extensions with your drop 2s, utilizing your rootless voicings, you're a pro. Okay, so that is a very advanced thing. Bob says, where would you play when the bass is soloing? When the bass is soloing, that's a great question, Bob. Depending upon the register the bass is in, I will use my strategy 1. So I'm going to let you guys try to think what strategy 1 was. Okay, what's strategy, comping strategy number 1? It's the low end of the piano. It's where my right hand has a rootless voicing and my left hand has a bass note. If the bass player is playing up high, I don't want to be in the same register as them. I want to be in a contrasting register because that way our, oh wow, the word is escaping me. The harmonics aren't overlaying each other, okay? So like if the bass player is soloing up here, super high end, I'm going to be down here. If the bass player is soloing in the low end of the piano, I'm going to be up here with drop 2s. Or, again, my last strategy, comping strategy number 4, I'll have octaves and rootless voicings. So no matter what, if comping strategy number 1, right hand rootless voicings, left hand bass notes. Comping strategy number 2, right hand rootless voicings, 1 and 7. Comping strategy number 3, right hand rootless voicings. No longer I'm using bass notes. I'm just using the 7 with drop 2s. Comping strategy 4, right hand octaves, left hand rootless voicings. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? No matter what zone I'm in to comp, I'm always using rootless voicings, right? So if we don't start from the beginning, y'all, and learn our rootless voicings to the 9s, right? None of this other stuff that I'm doing is ever going to happen. Okay, let me keep going with the assignments now. Those are the 4 comping strategies and kind of demo of where you can take your rootless voicings and start to work on that. So again, this is going to be rootless voicing structure 1. There's 2 structures, everyone. This is structure 1. Structure 2 is an inversion of that. So my 3 is on the bottom here. I'm going to take an inversion of this and put my 7 on the bottom. So now we have 7, 9, 3, 5. Before we had 3, 5, 7, 9. Now we have 7, 9, 3, 5. So the 9 is lodged in the middle. The 5 is on top, right? 7, 9, 3, 5. 3, 13, 7, 9. Now my thumb moves down by a half step, just like this. And the rest of my fingers move down. 7, 9, 3, 5. Okay, the key of F. Here's my F minor, here's my G minor 7, 7, 9, 3, 5. I have my 7, I have my 9. The notes don't change, it's just they're reordered differently, right? So my 9 is always a whole step above the root. You can think about it as the 2. I have my 3, and I have my 5. My thumb's gonna move down by a half step. And then everything else is gonna move 7, 9, 3, 5, right? 2 structures. So, the beginning assignment for everyone that doesn't know their rootless voicings this week is as follows. Practice your rootless voicings in this order. First, no metronome. Just learn the notes. You got to learn the notes first before you start playing with the metronome. iRoll Pro. Try to go through at least 4 keys. At least 4 keys. I'm going to leave it up to all the eager beavers out there, or the non-eager beavers. Depending upon how many keys you want to go to, will dictate how well you can open up to a standard and just comp through it with your rootless voicings, right? If you know all your keys, then you can pretty much open up to any standard and comp through it. If you don't know all your keys, then you're not going to be able to pass that test, right? So all the keys are very important, but again, you know, depending upon life and how much time you have to practice. So you want to go through, practice your keys. Here's the key of F. Here's the key of B flat. Okay, great. I learned the notes, Brendan. Now what? Put a metronome on. Okay, my tempo scale that's on the assignment sheet you're going to receive after the class is over is 60, 90, 120, 150, 180 BPM. 60 is just starting. That's going to be 4 beats per chord. Click, 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 click. Again, this is how fast the pianist was practicing scales. So if he can do it, you can do it. Okay? You're going to repeat the major twice. Now, the reason I'm not giving you practice notation exercises is because your goal is to play without music. So many students rely on reading drills and notation, and then they get to actually playing jazz and they can't accomplish their goal because they've relied on the practice exercises so much. So unfortunately, that may be scary for a lot of you. I understand that, but I promise you, if you kind of go with it and lean into the difficulty of not using notation and just using your eyes to look at the notes, look at the piano, look at the shapes, you're going to be able to play better. Trust me. You're going to hate me for it. I know this as a student, but it's going to help you. Okay? It's tough love. Right? Now, you can bump this up to 90. 120 is your goal. 120 is the minimum viable option to move on. That means you got it solid. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat the last major chord. Next key. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Next 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Here's the key of B flat. 3, 4, 1. You want to be able to do that for both structures, essentially. Okay? Intermediate players. Okay, where are my intermediate players? Let's say you can do that. Let's say you're good with that. Susanna, some of the other, Tom, I think as well. What the intermediate is going to be doing is isolation. And maybe some of you can do this already. Now, if I open up to a chart, right? And let's say this is a great example. You've practiced your rootless voicings, you're all gung-ho, you're ready, you're like, oh yeah, I got this, let's go. You've been practicing your 2-5-1s, you got it, you're ready to go. You open up to a chart like this, and then you're like, wait a second. Where are all the 2-5-1s, right? You were ready to play 2-5-1s, you practiced 2-5-1s, and then everything falls apart because although there are lots of 2-5-1s in jazz, you're gonna see chords that are outside of 2-5-1s. So what does that mean? Well, it means we need to take our practicing to the next level and practice the isolation of the voicings. Meaning I can go from E flat 7 to a D7, right? I'm going to skip the minor harmony for now. And then, luckily, we do have a 2-5-1 there. I can go, oh, easy, fantastic. 2-5-1. Finally, I got a 2-5-1, right? But the E flat 7 and D7, I need to be able to isolate the 5 chords in my 2-5-1 to play over these types of progressions. So as an intermediate player, let's say you can do all the 2-5-1s like this, both structures easily. 120 BPM, you can go through the circle of force, all 12 keys, right? Boom. What we're going to do now is practice all the minors together, all the dominants together, and all of the major 7s together, right? So now, instead of going through 2-5-1s, I'm going to take one of my structures, 3-5-7-9 for my C minor 7, 3-5-7-9. And I'm going to go around all the minors with that exact voicing. So here's my C minor rootless voicing, playing 3-5-7-9. Okay, going to F minor, 3-5-7-9, 3-5-7-9, 3-5-7-9, 3, 5, 7, 9, 3, 5, 7, 9. I'm doing all minors now. So this way, when I see a minor 7 chord in a tune, boom, I can do that, okay? Now, there is the option to do your left hand. If you guys all have a goal of improvisation, you don't care about comping, you want to really work on your improvisation, don't worry about utilizing your right hand to do this exercise. Just practice your left hand. Okay, when I go to improvise over a tune, I'm usually not using my right hand rootless voicings. If I go to improvise, oh, what spot are we on here? This is all my left hand. Right, so I only need to really work on my left hand rootless voicings to be able to improvise. I don't need my right hand, right? So depending upon one of the 3 goals, whether you have goal 1 as your first priority, goal 2 is solo piano, or goal 3 is improvisation, just work on your left hand rootless voicings if you just want to improve your improvisation, okay? So we're practicing our minors for the intermediate players. Both structures, here's structure 2, 7, 9, 3, 5, 7, 9, 3, 5, 7, 9, 3, 5, 7, 9, 3, 5. Again, it's not going to be fun, guys. It's going to be tedious, but this is what it takes, right? This is literally what it takes. And then our dominants, 3, 13, 7, 9, 3, 13, 7, 9. Jeremy says, for dominant chords, when do we voice 3, 6, 7, 9? When do we 3, 5, 7, 9? So the dominant chord right now, as of now, will only take 3, 13, 7, 9, 3, 6, 7, 9. This is a voicing, but it's not within the rootless voicing structure, right, that I'm teaching you. Now, I'm teaching you the rootless voicing structure because this can lead to other things very easily. Ergo, the 2-5-1, the drop 2-2-5-1s. If you start to change the voicings, Jeremy, like make it 3-5-7-9, this structure of learning to apply to your 2-hand voicings, to apply to your drop 2s, it's not going to work. So what I'm trying to tell you is you can get 4 comping systems for the price of 1 by just using your rootless voicings right now. Low end, mid to low, mid, and high. In the future, after you've done that and you can master all of those voicings, then playing your 3-5-7-9 is a very viable option if you're at the point where you can kind of do everything else. So it's not a bad voicing, it's just not within this learning structured curriculum I'm teaching you all, okay? Intermediates out there, any questions on that? Light questions, I would say. And then I'm gonna open the floor up for questions just a second. I'm gonna get to the advanced assignment. Does anyone think they're on the advanced assignment? Go ahead and put yes in the chat. Jeremy, yes. All right. Anyone else? Maybe. Okay, cool. Unsure? All right. Cool. So the advanced assignment is going to be the other areas essentially of your rootless voicings. And then I have a bonus if that starts to become too easy too as well, but we'll see about that. All right. So the advanced assignment is going to be to tackle the other areas of the piano. Intermediate and beginners, you're only sticking with comping strategy number 1, right hand rootless voicing, left hand bass notes. Okay. That's your goal, to open up to any real book tune, be able to use right hand rootless voicings, left hand bass notes over any tune and comp through the tune. Okay. For advanced players, you're going to start to practice your 1s and 7s, moving to your 1s and 3s, moving to your 1s and 7s with right hand rootless voicing drop 2s. So you're going to lift your 3rd finger. I'm in the key of F now. This is a G minor 7. So I have my G minor 7 rootless voicing. I have 1 and 7. I'm going to remove my 3rd finger from my right hand. I'm going to voice lead through my 2-5-1. Here's G minor 7, C7, F major 7. I'm going to do this through my 2-5-1s. Nope, wrong key. Okay, that's structure 1, and then you want to do structure 2 as well. Structure 2 now starts with 1 and 3 first in my left hand, going to 1 and 7, back to 1 and 3. So it's flip-flop. Structure 1 was 1 and 7 to 1 and 3 to 1 and 7. Structure 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 7, 1 and 3. Drop 2 in my right hand, drop 2, drop 2. And I go to my key of F. For those of you with big hands, you can make your thirds tenths. Just like this. That's a more advanced voicing as well. Okay? So that's essentially the advanced assignment there. Okay? Mary, I see your question. I'll get to that in just a second. If you want to go further with that, you can, I would say master this though. Please don't go further unless you can go through all the keys. And then the next step is to really isolate all these drop 2s. So this would be your minor drop 2, minor drop 2. So like if I go around the circle of 4ths with my minor drop 2, C minor 7, F minor 7, B flat minor 7, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. And this process for me, right, is like riding a bike. That's essentially where y'all should be shooting for, aiming for, okay? Bob, great question. That's a quick one. I'll answer that fast. Yes, it's the balance, right? It's the balance of the harmonies of 1 and 7 in your left hand with your 3 here. So you essentially have 1 and shells, 5 and a 9 on top, right? Yes, so it's the balance that starts to make these drop 2s sound so good. How do we practice movements, variety, and drop 2s comping? Yes, after the great question, Jeremy, after the 2 5s, I would recommend isolating each chord just like I showed you. So isolate each chord here through your minors. Do your other structure. Right? Do all your dominants. A lot of tedious work, but I promise you, again, it pays off. And then Jeremy, you can get as creative as you want. You can do half steps if you want, right? I'll have my students do half steps all the way up and down a full octave, back and forth with their voicings. All the way back down. You can do thirds, right? Anything you want really, but your goal is complete control over the voicing so that, again, when you open up to a tune, you have complete freedom. You now have achieved complete freedom with the voicing, okay? So to all my to all my advanced players, how accomplishable would that exercise be for you that I just showed you with the drop 2s? Doable? If it's doable, just type yes in the chat. Yes. Okay. Real quick, I want to open it up to questions though. Yes, with practice. Okay, great. So it does require practice. Susanna, if that's easy for you, you can move on to mid-zone 3, comping strategy 3, where you're going to remove your bass note now. So you're going to take strategy 2 and you're going to remove your bass note from the strategy. So you're creating pure drop 2s. So here's my 2-hand drop 2 voicing. I'm now going to take my bass note out and you want to voice lead this through your 2 5 1s now. With no bass note and no third finger, right? What key am I in? I skipped a key, that's okay. Right, Susanna, that would be your next goal. And then from there, y'all, you've drilled this, great. From there, you start to drill alterations. So now, instead of the natural 9 on your voicing, you're gonna have your flat 9, and you would drill through each section there. Minor 7, flat 9, 1 major 7, minor 7, flat 9. Up here, minor 7, flat 9. Here's my flat 9, right? Minor 7, flat 9. Okay? So again, you can kind of get as advanced or as simple as you want. All right. That's a lot of material. Again, beginners, don't worry about any of that stuff. Please, 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 please. I know it's shiny. It's fancy. You want to learn it. Trust me, I get it. You will get there. I promise, but just focus on what you need to do at the time at hand, right? When you're climbing a mountain, it's just step by step. You can't just jump 1,000 steps. You can't run. You just got to go step by step, and eventually you get there. All right, let me take some questions here for you all. If you have a question, again, click the reactions button because it'll put your picture up on the top left-hand corner of my screen. It'll show me that you have a question. If you have a question about the assignment, about the process, about the rootless voicings, about using them, anything at all, I'm totally willing to answer your questions. I do see some questions in the chat. So let me answer these first. Okay, Kevin, I'll get to you in just a second. For these basics, is the main goal learning the shapes and the sounds? Yes, I would say, Karina, the goal is execution of the voicings through the tune. That's why the test is to be able to play the tune. The test isn't really necessarily the drills on the piano. Those are just the means to let you know, okay, you're ready to go to the tune. Because, it's just like any professional athlete. They're not practicing in the game. The tune is like a game. You got to practice outside the game and then play the game, right? So we practice outside the tune and then we're ready to go into the game. We're ready to play the tune. So the goal for the basics is just to learn the rootless voicings and then be able to play them through your 2-5-1s in tunes. Now, again, unless you're at the isolation stage, right, you're going to see chords that are outside of 2-5-1s and you're going to freeze because you're not there yet, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. What is the most, Jeremy says, what is the most vanilla way to practice the same thing on minor 2-5-1? So like learning a minor 2-5-1, Jeremy? So you're just looking for the minor 2-5-1 rootless voicings. Is that what you're asking me? Yes. Okay, great. No problem. All right. I'll teach you guys these real quick. That again, you'll have them in the recording so you can go back and, you can go back and watch this. Sorry, I'm just messing with the settings here. Great. So very easy for your minor 7 rootless voicings. Let's say I have a minor 7 flat 5 chord, right? We are going to take our minor 7 voicing. We are going to flat our 5. That's so easy, right? Natural 5, flat 5. Boom. Gorgeous minor 7, flat 5 rootless voicing with the natural 9 on top. Now what happens here? Remember in our minor 7 going to our dominant 7, we moved our 3rd finger down a half step. We're still going to do that, okay, with our flat 5 now, but we also have to move our pinky down to the flat 13. Why? Because this flat 13 is the minor 3rd in the key that we're in, the key of C minor. So we need to reflect that minor 3rd by playing that flat 13 over our G dominant chord in this case. So I'm going here, here, and then we can resolve to a minor 7. That's completely acceptable. Most minor 2-5s will resolve to a minor major chord, which will be this. This is your rootless minor major voicing. So this to this to this. That's your solution, Jeremy, right there. And then you would invert that other structure. Okay. I see the questions in the chat, guys. Let me, one sec. Let me just go back. I know Maria had a question. 2 questions. Can you remind us how to find the dominant chord in the first example? So your dominant chord, Maria, is going to be 7, 9, 3, 13. By the way, guys, a little tip. If you guys know what your shells are, all these voicings are a combination of 2 shells and 2 extensions. That's it. 2 shells and 2 extensions, right? Or a chord tone, I should say, because 3, 5, 7, 9 is 2 shells, a 5th, and a 9, right? But every single chord has your shells in it. That's why the shells are so important. So Maria, 7, 9, 3, 13, or 3, 13, 7, 9. Now that's going to be the trickiest voicing to play. I'll let you guys know that right now because it's not a stacked thirds voicing. And you kind of have to look at the chord like 3, 13 is going to be a half step below the 7, and then your 9, again, is another extension, another note you're not playing in your left hand, essentially. So, but yes, the trick is to just move your third finger down by a half step, and that will give you the chord on structure 1. In structure 2, take your thumb, move it down by a half step, and then from there, that transition is kind of difficult to practice as well. But again, 7, 9, 3, 5 here. Okay. All right. All right. Do you find your ability to master, or let me go to Sylvie's question. Any fast trick to figure out the major and minor chord voicing on right hand for major and minor on left hand, counting half steps? Yes, what I did before, this is just a major 7 chord with a D in the bass. Right, so this creates your voicing very easily. I'm just playing a root position major 7 with a D in the bass. And then for a major chord, I'm just playing a minor 7 root position in my right hand with a C in the bass. So I'm playing a minor root position chord on the 3rd. That creates the chord. John says, do you find the ability to master comping rulebook tunes is assisted by your understanding of chord analysis? In other words, if I recognize a sequence of 5 or 2 moves me quicker to playing the chords? Yes, that's super helpful. I used to always write out on my rulebook charts that I was playing. The way you do this in analysis is through parentheses. You'll put a parentheses around the 251 in your rulebook chart. Then you'll write Roman numeral 2, lowercase, indicates a minor 7 chord. Uppercase Roman numeral 5, 7 indicates a dominant chord, and then 1 major 7 would be your major 7 chord, and you put that around your brackets. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone want to hop on the mic here and Zoom and talk to me? It's okay. Typing questions is cool too. But if any, Kevin, did you have a question still? Pritchett? Kevin, you're good, or? Yeah, you're good. Okay. Got it. Cool. Anyone else? Any other questions? No? Okay. Cool. I'm going to demonstrate one more thing for you guys, and then I'll let you guys go, kind of give you some details and stuff like that. This is a tune called Day by Day. All right. So, and this is a great tune. Again, like I said, if I were to fully comp this tune, again, you'll only be able to read up to a certain point with the, well, maybe I'll just keep looping these first 8 bars so you can follow along with me in terms of the harmonies. But what I'm going to do for you all right now, yes, Karina, this is a good tune. Day by Day, Autumn Leaves, All the Things You Are is a fantastic tune to test your rootless voicing abilities. Those 3 tunes I would say are really fantastic. What I'm going to do for you all right now is comp through this with all my rootless voicings. I'm only going to use rootless voicings. I'm going to use the 4 strategies I showed you, and you guys can hear how it sounds. I was going to try to loop. I guess I can't loop it in iRoll Pro. That's too bad. I'll just do it this way. That's fine. Here's strategy 3, right? Here's strategy 4. Jumping between strategies. Here's strategy 2. Still strategy 2. Strategy 3. Still strategy 3. Strategy 1. Altered. Okay. So clearly there's no bass player. Like if you heard the bass and drums, this would sound fantastic. I don't comp like this in a solo piano style. This would be for a group setting, but you can do this for a vocalist, like I said, vocalist, instrumentalist, anything like that. So thank you guys all so much for being here. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you showing up. All you guys stayed, which is actually quite amazing for a workshop this long, 48 people. It's fantastic. So let me review again the next steps for this challenge. All right. So what's going to happen now? This is very, very important. You like how I primed you guys? You're like, all right, what's important? What's important? So this is very important. So you're going to receive an email within the hour after this video uploads. It's a long video, right? So it's going to upload to the cloud. It's going to show your assignments on here. It's going to review all the information that I taught you. There's going to be a link to the replay of everything I taught here today. You can watch that back if you need anything. Now, I would love for you all to take this as an actual challenge and do what my live program students do for me and submit videos to me of your playing at the end of the week of the assignment. Okay? Everyone's like, oh my goodness, this is getting real. This is getting real. This is a real challenge. Yes, it is a real challenge. All right? You don't have to. You don't have to, right? You haven't paid me any money for this. But if you want the accountability portion, which all the students in my programs absolutely love and say is one of the number one things that leads them to success, it's not even the information, it's the accountability. You can utilize the link that's going to be in the document. It says Flipgrid link. And it says workshop number 1. And what you can do is you can record a video. It allows you to click the record button once you use that link, and you can set up an iPad, an iPhone, a laptop, whatever you want. I will personally watch your video and give you feedback. If you want to utilize me for free, I don't offer this anywhere else. I will personally watch your video and comment in the video on where you're at, what you could use more of. Maybe it's fantastic, and I'm just like, dang, great job. You're ready for the next step, right? It's totally up to you. That option will be available in the challenge, completely free. Again, this is really only for my program students, but I am offering it to you guys if you want that accountability portion of the program. If you want to just follow along and do the components on your own for yourself, totally cool. I get it. The next workshop will be all on solo piano. When you learn your rootless voicings, you will be able to apply them to your solo piano playing in a very easy way that I'm going to teach you next week. Okay, not to mention how to play solo piano better, ballads, slow swing, and medium swing. Okay, then from there, the third week is going to be all on improv. And then the fourth week is putting everything together. Okay, it's kind of like the conclusion, right? If you all have any questions at all, please let me know at any time. You can always write in to support@jazzpianoschool.com to reach me. I check the tickets personally, and I will write back to you. As far as tech questions go, I'm not the best at that. I will try to help you, but like with Flipgrid, it's the simplest thing I've ever used. So like, I think if I can figure it out, hopefully a lot of you can figure it out. My students figure it out pretty easily as well in the live programs, but that should be pretty easy. Otherwise, it's just about learning and practicing on your own. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. This is super fun. Nice hour, and thank you, thank you, thank you. See a lot of claps. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Honestly, just showing up is really fun. We had such a huge room today. That was really awesome. Love teaching for you guys, and hope you guys learned a lot. And I will see you again next Wednesday at the same time. All right? Take care, guys. Thanks so much. See you later. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to go to jazzpianoschool.com to check out all of our free, amazing education, all of the free podcast blogs. We do have a membership if you're looking to take a next step forward with us, get access to over 1,000 different jazz piano videos, playbooks, mini courses, a main course curriculum, success path, and so much more. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at support@jazzpianoschool.com. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, happy practicing.